What's up, agency owners? Jason Swenk here with another great episode of the Smart Agency Masterclass, a podcast dedicated for growing and scaling your agency faster, where I bring on amazing guests. And today is no different. Have two amazing guests that run a really great agency, and we're going to talk about scaling, what they've learned, what they wish they knew, all really good stuff. So let's go ahead and jump into the show. Hey guys, welcome to the show.
How are you, Jason?
Thanks for having us,
Good to be
Jason.
here.
Awesome. Well, why don't, before we jump in, Peter, why don't you go first? Tell us who you are, what you guys do, and then Adam, you jump in as well.
Cool. I'm Peter. I'm the CVO now these days. I used to be the COO. We've now got an operations director, so sort of stepped into another role at Blend. Essentially, Blend, we're a Shopify Plus agency, and we help brands retain more customers, and that's sort of our core focus of what we do.
Awesome. And Adam, how did you guys come together as business partners?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting one, actually. So me and Peter are actually married to sisters Emma and Becky, and that's actually how we first met each other. And I think a lot of the time, in e-commerce, people don't kind of set out to be in e-commerce. And it was exactly the same for me and Peter. Peter was a quantity surveyor. I've been a consultant, I've been a teacher, a marketer, one of those guys, who kind of like finds a different career every 3 years. And we'd always kind of in the back of our minds wanted to have our own businesses. And about sort of 7 years ago, Peter came to said, "Hey mate, look, there's this new thing called Shopify. I'm going to retrain to be a developer." And I just went, "Yeah, whatever." Like another one of these flash in the pan, piece of technology. Thank God I was wrong. We started out, just really kind of doing very basic work. Shopify, Peter looking after development, me looking after marketing. And like Peter say, we're now a team of 20 working with predominantly Shopify Plus brands. So, it's been an interesting one, obviously, being business partners and family at the same time.
Well, you're not direct family. You marry, right? That would be a little bit more difficult, I would think.
Yeah, luckily there's no blood relation here.
Even though you guys got the same sunglasses or the same glasses. Same shirt. If you guys are just listening to it on the video, you guys look very similar, other than maybe the hair color, right?
Obviously,
it's got the gingerbread.
That's obviously a fact. And listeners out there, I'll let you be the judge of that. Maybe do some kind of LinkedIn poll. Who's hotter, Adam or Peter? We should do it.
There you go. That's a good poll. I'll set that up tomorrow. Let's talk about what are some things that you've learned over the years that you wish you knew when you guys were starting.
Peter, do you want to go first or should I?
Yeah, I'll go first. So I think the biggest thing that I wish that we knew before we, right at the start of the time was, I wish Adam and I understood each other better. It's difficult, as we said, with family. We've got into business and we've tried and tested things, and there's been some rocky times. Both Adam and I will easily admit that. It wasn't until we actually did insights profiles. It's different quadrants, and it's based off colors: red, green, blue, and yellow. And once we read these insights profiles of each other, it all sort of came together, and the two of us understood each other a lot better. And we figured out where our strengths lie between the two of us. And it's been a hell of a lot easier since that point, because we know exactly what to do, and who's best at handling what type of task between the two of us.
How do you guys keep on the same page? How long did it take you guys to figure out here's the direction, that the agency's going on top of, the red, green, yellow?
I think the main thing is that we've always pretty much been in agreement in terms of what we want to do as an agency. But where it was very different, and where we've had to learn is that the parts that each of us does and the way that we work and the way that we get to that end goal is very different. And that's really what caused the issues, because for me, I am a very kind of like list orientated person. I'm blue on the profile. So, I will do this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing in that order. Peter's the opposite, in that he will like have that idea, he'll go ahead and do it, and then he'll dip into something else, and then dip into something else. And, Peter's thought process is more about kind of, letting something sit at the back of his mind, think about it, procrastinate on it, and then come back with an awesome idea, but not have the detail.
Yeah, so you guys are opposites.
Yeah, but I can put those things into place. And I think that's kind of where we clashed, wasn't it? Is that we were both trying to get to the same goal, and then we realized actually, rather than just getting pissed off with each other because we do things differently, we actually can do different parts of the business to get there. And that was kind of like the light bulb moment, I think, wasn't it?
Tell me about, because you guys pick Shopify, and a lot of people pick a niche, in order based on a vertical rather than a horizontal. Do you still think they could do that? And what are some of the caveats where that doesn't work anymore?
I don't think you can pick Shopify as a niche now. We've got to the point where the market is saturated. There's you can throw a stone basically, hit an agency these days. When I say an agency, a Shopify agency in particular, just we're pretty close to Birmingham. There's a load of agencies. I think when we first started out, there was about 2. So, we've had to progress, and we've had to niche down a lot. What we're doing, we're not niching down in a vertical. We're sort of niching down in the service offering side of things. We're moving into the retention side of things. For a while, we still refer to ourselves as a customer experience agency. We're focusing on that long-term value of a customer, and making sure that we're not touching the acquisition side, other than, we consider the fact that your retention, once you've given us your email address. Once a merchant's got that email address, they actually in the funnel. Yes, they haven't spent anything yet, but they're a lot further down that funnel than Facebook ads or Google ads at that point. And that's where we are niching down. I think you'd be in a lot of trouble if you just came into the Shopify space right now and said, this is our niche, this is what we do. I think you've got to pick a vertical at this point, or pick a service vertical as well.
What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We heard about a Shopify agency that came out, I think, about 12 months ago, that was only actually working with paint brands. Now, that's kind of as niche as I think you can get. But I agree. I think you've got to stick out there in either that vertical or that horizontal now, because there is so much choice. And it's an interesting discussion for us, because look, we sometimes lose projects because we haven't got that deep experience with working with one particular vertical. So let's say, for example, you pick apparel. Yes, we've done some apparel stores, but it's not the vertical we've done the most on. And yeah, we lose jobs because we lose projects for it. But at the same time, we win a lot of projects because there aren't any other agencies really that are doing what we're doing, saying, hey, look, yeah, okay, conversion rate's important, but it's a very small piece of what you're doing. It's actually about that lifetime value piece, what happens before the sale, during the sale, after the sale, and we can help with the whole lot. So, it kind of swings and roundabouts in some respects, and that, yes, we do lose some on the vertical front, but we gain some on the horizontal. But to answer your question specifically, yeah, just being a Shopify agency, as a lot of us have learned over the years, just doesn't fly anymore.
Yeah, I find you have to jump on, if you're going to do a horizontal a niche, you have to jump on early. We did that with Sitefinity, we did that with Microsoft. I've seen people do that 10 or 8 years ago with WordPress. But you just can't do that now. It's like, this is like the standard, and that there's no separating from you. We had Mastermind members that crushed it on Magento, and like made millions and millions of dollars just from going to the Magento conference. But it doesn't work that way anymore. You have to kind of do, think of things that really separate you, and think of, there's like the opportunity right now, NFTs take off. You could be an NFT agency and strategist around that. But maybe in 5 years, everyone will be doing that. Who knows? They probably will. And then someone will have to educate me a lot more on that stuff.
I think I think we're seeing that right now with the sustainability front. Some people niche down and being the sustainable agency, and I think you're getting to a point where it's like that's a standard. You need to be a sustainable, and you need to be showing that you can sort of demonstrate and work with those brands as well as a standard. And it's getting to the point where that's no longer going to be a niche either.
Exactly. Let's change topics a little bit. So, and I've changed my mindset over the years from when I ran my agency to now. Do you feel that you have to destroy your competition or other agencies, or can you be friends with them?
Great question for us. The reason I say that, Jason, is because we've always taken the perspective of, kind of being friends, being partners, being, collaborative with their agencies. And the reason that we did that is because, look, when we started out, we essentially were two fat guys sat around a kitchen table trying to pretend that we were running an agency. So the only way that we could kind of work out how to do it was going out there and speaking to these brilliant people, that had got agencies already. So, I remember in the early days talking to Pearce from Remake Websites, about how he'd grown the business. I remember talking to lots of different agency owners. And, what we did initially is that we used to go to the big agencies in the UK and say, hey guys, look, we are this tiny, small fry operation. If you have any of these leads that you just don't want to bother with, we'd love to be a place that you can refer them to. We're friendly, we're helpful, we think we do good work. Would you be interested? So from our point of view, that paid off because we then got leads from the bigger agencies. They knew that we could be relied upon, and it's exactly what we did with our other partners. But that definitely isn't the experience we have with everyone. There are a couple of agencies that are very, what's the word? I wouldn't say aggressive towards us, but there are definitely a couple of agencies who don't want to engage with us, who have done certain things in the market to stop us trying to get further than we want to be. But the interesting thing is that with those people that do that, it's very well known within our community, and like, Shopify ecosystem is very close knit. So it's interesting that, that kind of tactic, although yes, maybe they're trying to stamp us out, it's actually backfired for them because it's had an impact on the rest of their relationships within space. So for us, 100%, helping. And now that we are, a bigger agency, now they're a plus agency, we still talk frequently with kind of startup agencies, people, that are like 2 or 3 people, because ultimately 5-6 years ago, we were there. There is plenty enough business to go around. So there just isn't any point with that mentality of, look, I'm going to stamp this company out, I'm going to kill this company. Just not worth it.
Yeah, when I ran the first agency, for many years, I was in the mindset I needed to crush everybody. And that was the wrong mindset, because my eyes were on them versus helping out, the target market. And honestly, when I thought about that, I didn't really have a target market. I was just trying to take everything, which I didn't even realize it was so big. Like, even if everyone came to us, we couldn't handle everything. And even now, a lot of times when we bring in a marketing agency to help us with certain, things in this business or other businesses that we have, they always ask, the first question they always ask, which drives me crazy, is who's your competition? And I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I don't even care. Because if I focus on them, then, right? Like, but there are a lot of people that focus on agencies that I've partnered with. Because, and I think you guys probably have this as well. You tell me if you do, our main goal is to be a resource we wish we had when I was running the agency, the first one. And in order to do that, I realized that we can't do everything, right? We're not good at everything, but we're really good at these things. And then I'll find people that are really good at staffing for staff at agencies, or recruiting or training or whatever it is, like training their staff. And I'll partner with them, because then it is a resource and I can bring all these people together. Do you agree? Or
100% agree with you. I think we went down that route of, hey, we can do everything. We can, run your whole store, do all the advertising, everything. And it's just like slowly but surely you realize, look, there's certain things we're good at. There's certain things that we're not, maybe even just average at, maybe not even bad. But ultimately, especially the way we look at it now for people that we work with in terms of our clients, we go, hey guys, well, you've got these products that are doing really badly for you. And essentially people buy these products and then they churn. Looking at it inwardly from an agency perspective, we had products ourselves that we were running. We were running people's Facebook ads, and ultimately our clients were churning off the back of that. And we're going, well, which services should we drop here? Well, Facebook ads, that's definitely one that we needed to drop. We weren't horrible at it, but we weren't very good at it either. So, ultimately exactly what you're saying there. It's, figure out what you're good at, stick in that, get better at that, and ultimately you're gonna get more customers and clients off the back of what you're good at. You're not going to get more customers and clients off what you're bad at.
Yeah, and you'll learn from other agencies. That's what a lot of people don't realize. Because when I ran Solar Velocity, I was only chatting with people in my local market, which were the direct competitors. And I always felt like they were always lying. Yeah, things are amazing. I didn't find out until I sold the agency and they reached out to me for help that I realized, I was like, oh man, you were really screwed up. I was like, if we were just honest with each other, we probably could have helped each other out. Be like, hey, this is what I'm going through, or I went through that last week. You may want to try this. It's just, I didn't really realize that until after I sold. So, when I started this business and I chat with agency owners, I'm like, look, you should be really friends with other agencies that believe in the things that you believe in. That actually do good work, because there's a lot of bad agencies out there, and you want to distance yourself from them.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, the amount of work that we pick up. Yeah, we pick up a lot of work and they come to us and like, oh, we've been burnt by X, Y, Z agency, or we've been through 3 or 4 different agencies. Like, how do we know that you guys aren't going to do the same thing? And you're like, you want to just be like, because we won't, but like ultimately you've got to build up that trust again in that person.
What do you, last question I have for you guys, what do you do to, when those people come to you? Sometimes that prospect is just a bad prospect if they've gone through so many agencies and never gotten help. But what do you do to build trust with them and separate you from the other agencies?
From my side, honesty. You've got to be honest. You've got to be able to tell them what you think. If they come to you and say that they want to do something and you just don't believe that's going to work, it's just be honest with them. The other side of it is, don't try and sell them everything. It's very easy to get tempted into going and say, hey, somebody needs this help, and they can benefit from X, Y, Z thing, but ultimately, the biggest thing that's going to help them is just X. Sell them X, build up that trust, and then down the line, they're going to trust you a lot more at that point. Then you can sell them Y, then you can sell them Z at that point. And ultimately, you're going to get the same out of them, and you're not just grabbing everything at one time. The other side of it is, not everybody can afford everything at one time. They don't have time for that either. So doing it slowly and progressively is the way to do it, and just with small little project and quick wins.
Yeah.
I think the other thing for me as well is kind of challenging what clients come in for. And we've been talking this a lot recently. A lot of the time a client will come to you and it's a bit like going to the doctor and saying, I need X, Y, Z operation. You don't say that when you go to the doctor. You tell them what your problem is. But I think we've got to a stage now where, quite a few merchants will come to an agency and say, hey, I need a redesign of my Shopify store. But when you actually challenge them on that, and when you break it down to find out what the problem is, it feels a bit difficult, because you're kind of saying to that person, look, what you're asking for is not what you need. But that establishes trust, because it actually allows them in their own mind to break down what they do truly need and find out what the real problem is. And I think, that's something that we do quite a lot when we kind of do those initial calls, is to break it down. Okay, but why do you need that? Why do you think that? What are your numbers here? What are your numbers here? Well, actually, it's like a doctor would, taking into effect all the symptoms you've got, the thing we think you really need is this thing. And I think that's a great trust builder for any agency, regardless if you're an e-com or paid or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I think being strategic and being that, what I always call that trusted advisor, of asking the right questions, listening to them. And then, like you guys were saying, is you're not selling. If you're ever trying to sell something to them that you want, you've got it all wrong. You got to position the thing that they actually need based on the problem and what they actually want. And then think about, how can you make it less risky for them? And also, how can you educate them? When people came to us, I always educated them more than anybody else, educated them on where they're at, what they need to do, educated them on the process so they could understand it, almost to the point where they could actually go do it. But they're busy with doing their day-to-day job. They don't want to do it. But if they understand it, versus like someone saying, just trust me, like, that's what the last 5 agencies told me that they could, do. But rather than telling me to trust you, like, why don't you show me first? And that's why I always love, I always talk about the foot in the door offer, and then the offering ladder, actually, building trust over time as you show them, results. Well, this has all been amazing, Peter and Adam. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you think would benefit the audience?
No, I think that's great. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to Jason, and to meet you and be on the show with someone that we've admired for a long time and learned a lot from is great. So thank you.
Oh man, it's all my pleasure. Have you guys on, and thanks for coming, and thanks for listening for the time that you guys have. So, what's the website people can go and check you guys out?
Yep. So just head along to blendcommerce.com. And you can find me and Peter on LinkedIn, where we're pretty active on all things e-com, Shopify. And if you want a good laugh as well, then it's worth following us too.
Oh, awesome. Well, make sure you guys go follow him. Thanks so much for coming on the show. And if you guys enjoyed this episode and you want to be around other amazing agency owners that you can really tap on their knowledge, they can see the things you might not be able to see. You can tap on my knowledge and my team's knowledge and just grow and scale faster. I'd love to invite all of you to go check out the Digital Agency Elite Mastermind. So go to digitalagencyelite.com and go apply, and maybe we'll have a conversation and really see if the Mastermind's right for your agency. Because if you want to have fun, be around amazing people, and grow faster and create that freedom that you've always wanted, we'd love for you to go there. So until next time, have a swank day.